Hello, my name's Sam. Welcome to my channel. So I wanted to talk about all the books coming out in 2025, the first half of the year, so from January to June, that I am really excited to read. Some of these will have already come out by the time that I put this video up, but I still want to include them. And the first I have Watermoon by Samantha Sotomayor. This came out January 14th. And it's about a woman who inherits like a magical pawn shop, and it gets like broken into and her dad is missing, and then something as important is missing as well. And then this customer comes in and wants to help her, so they have to go on this magical quest, and it sounds whimsical. Next I have We Do Not Part by Han Kang. This originally came out in 2021, and then this is the translated version that is coming out, or that came out January 21st. And this takes place in Korea. It's following two friends. One is injured in the hospital and her friend goes to visit her, and then she begs her to return to the island that she lives on to rescue her bird. And it sounds like there's a snowstorm that is about to hit the island, and it says it's a story of profound love in the face of unspeakable violence. And it sounds like that synopsis just sounds like vague enough and like really like intriguing to me. Okay, next I have Blob by Maggie Sue, and there's two covers of this. This one I absolutely love, and this one I absolutely hate. But this is about a woman, Vi, who finds a sentient blob in an alleyway and decides to make it her perfect boyfriend. It sounds like just like the perfect kind of like weird thing that I love, and trying to like recommend to other people like makes me feel really silly, but Kevin Wilson blurbed it, so I'm intrigued. Next I have The Dollhouse Academy by Margarita Montemor, which is the author of Una Out of Order, and these two things just sound like they're totally different vibes. This one says where stars are made and dangerous secrets are hidden. Dark academia. Sounds like there are two storylines, one following Ivy, who's had fame for the last 18 years after attending the Dollhouse Academy, and then Grace and Ramona, who are currently attending, and Ramona's getting threats and Grace is like skyrocketing to fame. And it sounds like it's full of dark secrets and shady shit. Next I have Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, and this is a sapphic romance. It says for fans of Dowry of Blood, and I loved A Dowry of Blood. It is about Lenore and her husband. They're like, marriage is on the rocks, and then Carmela shows up, and she's weak and pale during the day but like thrives at night. And then girls from the local village start getting sick before, it says, succumbing to a bloody hunger. It says it's a reworking of Carmela, which inspired Dracula. So I'm very interested. Next I have Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. And this is Camilla is a new mom about to drop her daughter off at daycare, and she's going back to work for the first time since her daughter was born, and then she wakes up and her husband is missing, and there's like a cryptic note, and then the police say that he's involved in a hostage situation, but he is not a hostage, he is the gunman. Dun dun dun. I really loved Wrong Place, Wrong Time, so I'm excited to read this author again. Oh, it just got really dark in here. Is that a little bit better? Okay, next I have One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad, and I'm just going to read the synopsis because I want to do it justice. The title is referencing a tweet that the author made on October 25th, 3 weeks after the bombardment of Gaza, saying, "One day when it's safe, when there's no personal downside to calling a thing what it is, when it's too late to hold anyone accountable, everyone will have always been against this." And it says this chronicles the deep fracture which has occurred for Black, Brown, Indigenous Americans, as well as the upcoming generation, many of whom had clung to a thread of faith in Western ideals and the idea that their countries or the countries of their adoption actually attempted to live up to the values they espouse. This book is his heartsick breakup letter with the West. It is a breakup we are watching all over the US, on college campuses, on streets, on city streets, and the consequences of this rupture will be felt by all of us. His book is for the people who want something better than what the West has served up. This is the book for our time. And I think it's going to be very impactful and important, and I'm very excited to get to it. Next I have The Dream Hotel by Leila Lalami, and this sounds like it's a dystopian set in the near future where dreams are under surveillance, and there's like this agency that they have like an algorithm, and they have determined that the main character, Sarah, is going to commit a crime against her husband. So they put her in a retention center, and this retention center is basically just full of women trying to prove their innocence from different crimes. And the rules keep changing, their stays keep getting extended, and it says it's eerie, urgent, and clear-eyed. whatever that means. Next I have Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, and this says it's Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War, and I love Addie LaRue, and I'm very excited to read This Is How You Lose the Time War. And it says Evelyn remembers all her past lives, and she always gets murdered before her 18th birthday, but she is determined to stay in the life that she's in because her sister needs her for like bone marrow transplants, so she has to figure out why she keeps getting murdered by the same person whose like their fates are like intertwined. I have All the Other Mothers Hate Me by Sarah Harmon, and this is about a mom of a 10-year-old boy named Dylan, and one of his classmates, Alfie, goes missing on a school field trip, and Alfie is like a rich kid, and he's also Dylan's bully, so Dylan is suspected. And then Sarah's the author. I can't remember the mom's name. The mom has to then try to clear her son's name. And the synopsis is giving like Finley Donovan vibes, so I'm kind of hoping it's like that light kind of like funny tone versus like a thrillery tone. Next I have The Goddess Complex by Sanjana Sathian, and this is about a woman who's getting divorced from her husband because they were never able to decide if they want kids or not. She never thought that she did want kids, but then when she's trying to finalize the divorce, he goes missing, and in searching for him, it says she comes face to face with what her life might have been if she had chosen parenthood. I wasn't super interested by the synopsis of this, but then at the end it said it was both a twist-filled psychological thriller and a feminist satire of our age of girl bosses turned self-care influences, optimization cults, internet mommy gurus, egg freezing, and so much more, which just sounds very interesting. Okay, next I have Stag Dance by Tori Peters, and I didn't love Detransition Baby, but this cover is really doing it for me. This is a collection of one novel and 3 novellas, and it says it pushes transgenre to its limits to explore who gets included and excluded from the possibilities of gender. And all of the stories in here sound very interesting, like a mix of horror, speculative, sci-fi, and I feel like they'll have good social commentary as well. And with 4 stories in here, I feel like I'm bound to like at least one. Okay, next I have Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. And I'm just going to read the synopsis of this because honestly the way it was worded just sounded perfect. A chilling historical horror novel set in the American West in 1912 following a Lutheran priest who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. A diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall. What it unveils is a slow massacre, a chain of events that go back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow. Told in transcribed interviews by a Blackfeet named Good Stab, who shares the narrative of his peculiar life over a series of confessional visits. This sounds so good. Like that synopsis just sounds perfect, and the fact that it's like interviews is like really intrigues me because I love like mixed media style things in books, so I'm very excited for that one. Okay, switching gears to a nonfiction, I have Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I loved The Anthropocene Reviewed by this author, which was an essay collection where he just took like random everyday things and like gave them a review, and it had like interesting like facts and information on like the thing that he was talking about, and it was also funny. And I was thinking that this one would be similar, but it sounds like it's going to be more serious. The synopsis talks about him meeting a young boy with tuberculosis in Sierra Leone, and about TB being a disease of poverty, thriving because of injustice and inequity, and how it's deadly despite being very curable and treatable. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Next, I have This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead, and this is about Jane, who becomes like obsessed with true crime and makes friends that are also obsessed with true crime, and then there's some murders that have happened, and they are, along with a bunch of other people, are trying to be amateur sleuths and like figure out what happened, but then nothing is adding up, and it seems like maybe they have walked into a trap. And it says that this is told a year after the events have happened. And I loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I loved Midnight is the Darkest Hour, despite that having a very low rating. So I'm excited for this one because I just love like Ashley Winstead's, like how she tells the stories is very good. Next, I have The Last Session by Julia Bartz. This already has a really low rating on Goodreads, and I mean, The Writing Retreat by this author also had a super low rating, but I loved that one. And this one says it's a psychological thriller, or a locked room thriller, about a social worker infiltrating like a wellness center, so it's kind of giving like culty vibes. I'm wondering if it'll go like batshit crazy like The Writing Retreat did. Okay, switching tones to romance, I have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and this is about Samantha and Xavier, and it sounds like they have like a really long perfect date, but Samantha's family life is in crisis, so she doesn't think she could date right now. The synopsis sounds like nothing is really grabbing me, if I'm being honest, but I loved Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I'm excited to read Yours Truly and Just for the Summer. So I'm gonna read it eventually because I love Abby Jimenez, so I'm sure it'll be great. Okay, next I have probably the weirdest book on this list, maybe this one tied with Blob, and that is Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. This is about a woman who is sexually obsessed with planes and believes that it is her destiny to die in a plane crash and be reunited with like her plane husband for eternity after she dies. And this just sounds totally ridiculous, but also like right up my alley. I loved Out There by Kate Folk, which was a short story collection, and all of the stories in Out There were like also had just like bizarro synopses like this one, and I think it's going to be amazing. Okay, switching from a love story between a woman and a plane, we have a love story between two actual humans, and that is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This is about two writers who are competing for the chance to be able to write the biography of like a famous like tragic heiress, someone who hasn't been seen in years, tabloid princess, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like Grumpy Sunshine. It also feels like it has more of like a plot than her previous books, like more stakes. So I think the change will be interesting. Not that her other books like don't have plot, but they seem like more like straightforward romances. And this one just seems like maybe it has a little bit, might have a little bit more to it, so I'm excited for that one. Another weird one, this is Eat the Ones You Love by Samantha Maria Griffin, and this says it's a twisted, tangled story about workplace love affairs and plants with a taste for human flesh, which is just my style. It's about Shell and Neve, who work in a flower shop, and then a orchid named Baby, who is obsessed with Neve and wants to eat her. That's all I need to know. Run for the Hills by Kevin Wilson. I am so excited for this book because Nothing to See Here is probably my all-time favorite book, and I haven't read anything else by Kevin Wilson, and so I'm excited to read him again. And this is about Madeline Hill, whose dad left her and her mom 20 years ago, and then one day someone shows up and says that he is her half-brother, and so they go on a road trip trying to find their dad and also like their other half siblings that they think they have. And so I think it'll have like those like found family vibes that I loved in Nothing to See Here. Next, I have another author that I've previously loved, and that is The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. This one I think might be like found family vibes as well. It's about a 19-year-old boy who is about to jump off a bridge, and he is stopped by a widow who convinces him to take a different path, and then he becomes her caretaker, and then the two develop a bond. And I loved On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and I'm hoping that this one has like that similar like beautiful lyrical kind of sad melancholy tone, and I can't wait to read it. Coming out in June, I have Be Gay, Do Crime, edited by Molly Llewellyn, which is a short story collection, and I think it's going to be exactly what it sounds like, gay people doing crime, and I think it's going to be great. It has two authors that I've loved previously, Emily R. Austin and Francesca Equiasi, so I'm sure it will be great. Next, I have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, another author to one of my all-time favorite books, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The synopsis of this on Goodreads is very vague. It just says, 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. It was tagged under vampires, LGBT, fantasy, horror. It's going to be amazing. Lastly, I have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, and this is about a songwriter and a musician. This is about a songwriter and musician that seem to be hearing parts of the same song. So they team up to finish the song that both of them can't stop hearing in their heads, and they're obviously gonna fall in love. And I love The 7-Year Slip. I didn't love Dead Romantics, and I haven't heard the best things about A Novel Love Story yet, but I still love a romance with like a magical speculative element, so I'm obviously gonna pick it up. So yeah, those are most of the books that I am excited to read in the first half of 2025. Let me know if there's any that you are looking forward to that you think that I missed, or anything that I mentioned that you also can't wait for. But yeah, thank you for watching if you did, and see you in the next one.